Today I'm working on the T600. I have pulled out the air brake foot valve. The piston is steel, the housing's aluminum, and it apparently rusted in there, got stuck. Someone tried to make it slam on it and hit it, and they broke the top part of the pedal. And it goes, half of it, like the top plate goes inside the floor, the bottom plate comes through the bottom. The easiest way for me to do this, and I'm using the word easy here lightly because it's buried under here. I took the old valve out, and I'm going to change all the fittings over to the new valve, put the bottom in, and then bolt the top back to it because it's kind of sandwiched between the floor. I'll show you what we got here. So here's the old one, and this part goes up against, this would be in the truck, and this is the floor is right here, so the opening's big enough to slide this through, but getting all these fittings, as you can imagine, is not going to go down through the top. So I'm going to take the pedal off, take the top plate off, and I'll switch over all of my fittings from this one to this one and then put it back in. It took me about an hour to get all these lines off. It's very tight in there, not a lot of room. You really need short wrenches, and some of them are pretty good size. I didn't have any wrenches that were short, so but now I'm going to change this all over, and then we'll get ready to put this back in. I ordered this valve, this brake valve, through Michigan Truck and Spring. You know, I talked about using them before. They had the best price, and they were so fast on shipping. I ordered this, I think, Friday, and today is Monday. So they do very well with shipping. I have to pull the cotter pins out that hold all this together. Well, I guess I really don't need to pull that one out. I can just push this one through and take this out. Let's go ahead and tighten this one back up because that was a mistake. But anyways, Michigan Spring, this valve everywhere else was about 12 bucks more expensive. Now, this is not a genuine Bendix. This is a aftermarket repop, I'm sure, but the truck's a 1996. Pretty sure it'll accept it okay. That'll be a big deal. Alright. Squeeze these back. I don't want to forget this. If I don't do that now, I'd forget about it. Alright. And what was broke on the other one was this. It, when they tried to slam down on it, it broke one of the ears off here, so then it would do nothing. So this is going to be boring and tedious. This has supply, delivery, supply, and delivery. So you can see delivery here, they're in line. So what I have to do is match these up so they're the same. I think what I'm going to do is, I don't have a bench vise mounted. I think I'm going to vice grip a bench vise here so I can put one in there and start transferring them over. I'm going to crack these. I'm going to do these one at a time so I can get the right angle, because they got to be just right or the lines aren't gonna work. And I want to take off one by one, clean them all up with the wire wheel, and then put them in. It's going to take me forever, so I'm just going to leave you here. I'll take it apart, get them cleaned up, and bring it back. Alright, the base plate's in. I've got all the fittings changed over, and I got the valve laying in here. Again, I can't see what you're seeing, but hopefully you can see this. Now I'm ready to put it up in here where it goes, but I can't do it and hold the camera, so you just have to trust me, we're putting it in. Well, I fought this one, that's for sure. I got it up in there. It's all tight, all the fittings are right. I've leak tested. I put soapy water on it, looked for bubbles, and I got nothing. But there is an air leak up at the dash I'll have to deal with. But at least we have brakes now. So next I'll get this wheel and tire put back on, and I'll take it for a test drive. We'll see how she does with, now that it has brakes actually. So, all right, let's do that next. Temperature's coming up. We're about 150 degrees now, charging 14. Engine oil temperature's low. Amperage is good. Apparently the boost gauge don't work. Holding decent air. There's an air leak behind the dash that he'll have to look at. Doing good on brake pressure. And make sure the airbags came back up. Yep, they sure did. Good. And I guess we're in good shape then, with the exception of the noise. Might be worth it to put a screw right there. I imagine to hold it. Otherwise, I think she's alright. I mean, except for the noise. Guy's supposed to come and get this tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But we got brakes now, so a little bit closer. Let's see if the dump valve works. It shows up on the ceiling on the monitor. So see if they actually dump. I don't know if they work or not. The switch works. Oh, sure does. I can hear it. Working. Okay. Good enough. I'm going to air them back up, and we'll see. See if it'll hold air in the morning. Alright, that's going to be it for this one. Catch you guys in the next one. Okay, shop's empty. Time to pull in another truck. Kenworth's gone. As you may or may not be able to tell, we got a leak. This is an International. It's a little single axle road tractor I got. I bought this truck for parts. It's a 9200i. I need this motor for a much nicer truck. This truck's okay. It's a very good parts truck. I need the air ride suspension for another truck. I need these tanks for another truck. I need that exhaust for a different truck. I need these tires for yet another truck. The motor for another truck. The bad thing about this truck is fourth gear, which is fourth and ninth, are bad. They'll go into gear, but it'll pop right off. So I bought it for parts. I paid accordingly, like I always say. The problem is I need to move some stuff with this truck, and we've blown the coolant hose right in here. I don't think you're going to be able to see. Let me see if I can get a light in here. See if we can see that better. Alright, we got a light on the subject here. You can see it dripping. Which, here's one thing I absolutely hate about GoPros. The screen is so small, I can't see nothing. So just, I hope you can see it. This hose right here is blown, and it's dripping down on this pipe right here. So I need to get this pipe out of here, this hose. And there's enough room to pull it down this way, hopefully, and get it off of here. and have enough room without taking that whole thing loose, because that's not exactly what I was looking forward to right now. But let's see what we can do. Deal's GoPro, so it's going to sound like the audio is going to be horrible. We'll just loosen the clamps up a little bit and let that drain out as much as it can. I lost a good bit. It blew a hose on the way here. So, oh look, and I just lost my light too. I hate them quartz lights. I've been replacing them with LEDs. I'll go get that one now. Hopefully the new one will slide down far enough on here to get it out. I really don't want to have to take that pipe loose, because the likeliness that it's gonna leak or break. It goes up in here. Show you what I'm looking at here. It comes up into here, and that's an O-ring fitting, and I would bet money on that's going to leak. So we're going to try and not disturb anything we don't have to. Alright, so that hose goes to the EGR cooler, and the other one goes in behind it up here, and I don't need that. But I took the intake piping loose right in here. Yeah, tethered to a cord because my camera is awful. And then you come out of here. What's coming out looks like washer solvent. It's definitely blue. So I took the alternator out, took the belt off, took the alternator bracket off, and I took this housing loose because this hose right here went between these two, and obviously the same guy was cranking on this, and it was looking pretty thin. It was pretty swollen too. So I already got the cooling system down. I might as well just go ahead and do it. I'm sure it's not that expensive, a little hose. I'll go to Cummins to get this. I'll get both of them from Cummins. It's like a silicone hose, not just a typical. Oh yeah, look at that. That's a failure waiting to happen right there. Yeah, so it's a good thing I did it. So we'll get the parts, and then we'll get it back together. Alright, so I'm going to clean up this thermostat housing. I use a 3M, it's a plastic disc for stuff like this, so I don't take any metal off. It's 3M roll-out disc. It's a plastic one. I forget what they're called, but they come in different grits. There's green, there's yellow, and I think there's another color. But anyways, it's softer. It's not as abrasive, so it doesn't take any material off. You don't have to use it on cast iron, but I do. I would clean this in the parts washer, but I just drained it and cleaned it and haven't got any new solvent yet. So we'll do it the old method. Let's get her cleaned up. I can't bring myself to put dirty parts back on a truck. Got it apart, I prefer to clean it. Take a little pride in what I'm doing. Depending on how long it takes me to get parts, I might even throw a little paint on this. Stick to grease, so make sure I get it all off. In fact, I'm probably gonna take it over the wire wheel now. Alright, I'm out here to the truck I have that we're going to be putting that motor in. This is a 04 8600 International, and this motor had head troubles. Rather than fix it, we're just going to replace it because it's been open for too long. So it has replacement hoses on it. Cummins wanted $75 for those two hoses, and I can't spend $75 for them two hoses for what they are. So we're just going to take it off this truck. It'll be just fine and save myself 75 bucks. I did locate the blue long life coolant, which I've never seen before because I usually don't get into stuff that has that. Napa has it, so that's good. So we're gonna take this bracket loose here. I've already got the thermostat housing loose, and then I can take this out. So let's get at it. So 10 minutes worth of time saved me 75 bucks, and I'm plenty okay with that because that wasn't the problem with this truck. It was an internal engine problem. So now let's get back and get these put on. Alright, so this is my thermostat housing. I cleaned it up and gave it a paint job. It's about dry. Been sitting here drying for a few days. I got a lot going on, so I was able to let it sit. So I got my hoses. Get back onto this. I want to get this thing back together because I need this truck. I took the time to run a tap through the alternator mount, the mounting bracket here, and put some never sees in there. I also cleaned up the bolts that go through the alternator itself. I'll put some never sees on this because it goes through this body of aluminum, and a lot of times they get stuck in there. They get, you know, dissimilar metals. You got steel and aluminum, so we'll put some never sees all over them. All right, let's get to work. We're going to start with putting the hoses on the hose clamps. Since this is a machine surface and it goes up against the machine surface, the only thing that's sealing it is this squared off O-ring here. It's very important to make sure both are very clean. So that paint overspray I had on here, I cleaned off. So now we're ready to put it back together. Now, typically you probably want to replace this thermostat, but the truck ran nice and cool, and it doesn't look to be that old for what the cost is too, and the motor's going to be coming out anyways. We're going to leave it. So I'm ready to stick it on there. Alright, I got my hose clamp on there. Now what I'm doing is getting ready to put the alternator on. I like to clean up the mounting surfaces with the alternator mounts, and like I said, I already ran a tap through it and put some never sees in there. And the same thing on the alternator. I like to clean up the mounting surfaces. This is where the ground goes, and this is where the positive goes. So I'll take a wire wheel and clean this up some more, and then I'll take the battery connections here and I'll clean them up along with this ground terminal. What I'm using for that is just my die grinder, and it's a 3M Scotch-Brite. We call them cookies because it looks like an oatmeal cookie, and I just clean them up with that real quick. So I'll get this stuff cleaned up. We'll put the alternator on, put the belt on, and we're ready for some coolant. Thin's coat is all we need. I want to put some under the head too. So when I bought this truck, the alternator was bad, so I took the alternator from the truck that we're going to put this motor in, and it had power windows, power locks, heated mirrors, so it was a higher amperage alternator. But this bracket is drilled for either or. The higher amperage uses a set of holes that are outward. The smaller amperage uses the holes inward. wasn't able to get the bolts in all the way when I first put it on, because the holes that weren't being used were just corroded up. So I ran them in snug until I felt they were possibly gonna do damage, or before that, I guess is what I mean. But and then I stopped. I figured once we got it home, we'd clean the holes out with a tap like I did. Okay, now this battery cable, I'm trying to think, which one does this go on? This one? Yeah, it goes on this one. So I'm going to pull this bolt back out, stick this back in here. There we go. Those are going real nice now. That's the way we like it. Much better. Much, much more gooder. Let's see. 15 millimeter. 15 or I need an extension. See if we can find the appropriate torque spec here. It's really not on there well. Okay. Clean up this ground here. You see how filthy it is. I wasn't making good connections, so we'll, make sure we got a good connection. Because I put 4 new batteries in there the other day. This alternator charges well on the test stand, but it wasn't charging well here. Now, there was not a serrated washer between these two, the ground and that cable, but we're gonna find one. I have to think where I have them. Let me get one. Alright, so here's a little assortment of serrated washers here, and this is a serrated washer. So what it does is it allows the washer to dig into the metal when you tighten it down. So you get a good positive connection between the two. Now, if you have your batteries connected, you would want to do your negative last. If you don't have them connected, it don't matter. Or if you're very careful, which typically I am, but we'll see now that I told you that. Anyways, what I was saying was I put new batteries in this and it still wasn't really charging well. It was charging enough, but not as good as it should be. So we want to make sure we got this handled. So I'm going to clean this up with a wire brush here. Ideally, I'd like to use a brass one, but I believe that cleaning it with something is better than not cleaning at all. A little bit of grunge under there. Got it. Just want a very good connection. Now, I'm going to put a serrated washer in between each one of these because I want it to bite good. So I'll put one on the post. Let me get the nut here. And we'll put one of the cables on. And then we'll put another serrated washer. Put the other cable on. And then put the nut on. Which I'm not happy with that. I think I need a flat washer in there. Let me go grab a flat washer. Flat washer, lock washer, and the nut. Let's hope we got enough stud left. Take care of all that. Oh yeah. Go. It looks like 10 millimeter, which we'll do by hand. So I want to make sure that I have them moved so they're not touching anything. So I want those spread so that they can sit flat. The eyelets can sit flat on there. And I don't want to over tighten it and break it. They're just really not tight enough to make me happy. It's got a metric mark on the head. Anyway. That should bite in there good. Now, we'll get the belt put on. Belt, I gotta make sure we're in all the correct grooves here. Let's see where we go now. There we go. We got to grab a light, check the pulleys everywhere, make sure we're in the grooves correctly. That one is, looks like, that's good. Have this pulley off for two separate ones. Yeah, we're good. All good. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're going to clear out our tools. Get them out of here. Get my light out of here. We're going to fire it up and see how she charges. So like I said, I took this alternator off the parts truck, or the truck that's supposed to get this motor, and it didn't really charge well when I put it on here, but it was enough to get it home. And now I'm looking at the grommet here, that insulator, and it looks like it's melted. So this, I think I'm going to take this alternator off because it's not charging like I want it to. I'm going to send it in and have the alternator starter shop that I know of in town, have them take a look at it. They'll just go through it, and then we'll have a good one, because the other truck's going to need it regardless. So I'm going to go ahead and take this back off and drop it off to them, because I'm only at 12.9 right now, and that's just not enough. It really ought to be, with 4 fresh batteries, we ought to be sitting at 13, mid 13 somewhere. I like to see 13.6. That's my favorite. That's where I like to be, and we're not there. We're only at 12.9. If I raise the RPMs up, it'll come up a little bit, but not enough to make me happy. So we're just gonna take that off and send it out. I talked to the guy at the alternator shop, and he said it's gonna be 2 weeks before he can get to this thing. I have this one and the original one that came off the truck, so I don't want to wait that long. I got some work to do with this truck, so tomorrow morning I'm going to go over and take the alternator off another truck I have that's identical. Same truck, same model, same options, same amperage. I'll double check to be sure, but it'll be just fine. It'll work. I'll drop these two off to him. When he gets to them, it's fine, but at least I can get the truck up and going. It's cold out this morning. Alright, I got this one off. It's the same thing. It's a Delco Remy. I didn't look at the amperage on this one, but it's an identical truck as the one that we pulled the other one off of. It's got power windows, power locks, all that stuff. So I'm ready to take it out of here. The batteries are deader than 4 o'clock, so I don't have to worry about that, about the battery cable shorting out. So let's get this and get out of here. Alright, so here's the other alternator, the third alternator. Alright, it's caddy corner ones. What we need. I'm draining the coolant out. Just like I showed earlier, we are putting this coolant back to the red extended life that Cummins recommends, which means we have to flush the block, flush the radiator, and flush the coolant tank. So it's going to be an involved process. I'm probably going to fill it up with water, run it till the thermostat opens, drain it again, and then do it one more time, and hopefully that gets it all. When I looked up that extended life antifreeze, it looked like it was used a lot in Asian cars, which I can only just imagine that the reason they used it is because that's what they had, and they had an abundance of it. So, however, we're just going to go back to what's supposed to be in there. Now, from what I read, the antifreeze that we're using will mix with this blue. So that's a good thing. I'll go get my serrated washers. We'll do this all over again. Make sure everything fits before I get too excited starting here. Well, the antifreeze has stopped dripping. Oh, there it goes. Must not have been much in it. Now, I probably could have vacuumed it and sucked it all out that way, but I didn't think of that. I just thought about, you know, yeah, these are hot. These have been hot, I should say. Yeah. The ends of these cables, I should have seen this beforehand. They've been hot. like it was trying really, really hard to charge, but it wasn't doing anything. Which I'm sure with 4 bad batteries it wasn't doing very well to begin with. When I bought this truck, we had to jump it to get it going, so it's never easy on an alternator when you have to jump it and it's going to try and charge up 4 batteries all at once. Now we took this one off the truck that we have not been able to run. It was one that I towed in the Cummins dealer. Well, the turbo went out of it. So, 7/16. The Cummins dealer put a new turbo on the truck, changed the oil, and did some other stuff, and then told the guy that owned the truck that when the turbo went bad, it threw shrapnel through the motor and ruined the bottom end. It's tough when you get the information third party, you know. Now I still got my batteries hooked up now. I was doing some other stuff to the truck, fixing some lights, so I hooked them back up, so I gotta be careful not to arc anything out. I'm not gonna get too crazy with this because I don't want to break that. That in there. In there. That looks good. Go recheck the belt, make sure it looks good. There's this thing out of here. Get our tools down off here so they don't fall. And we're gonna go see if it's charging any better. I'm gonna grab my voltmeter, get it set up. Right, go right on the ground here. I don't know if that's gonna be ground or not. I don't know why I gravitate towards this cheapy meter. I've got a Fluke 88. It just seems as though this is the one I tend to grab. Let's see what we got now. Can I see that? 12.4. Get you set up. Let's see what it does. Got all my tools out of the way. The light should be okay. Yeah, I'll take that. So, you guys can see that. I'll take that. So we got 14 something, just over 14 volts. That'll be just fine. That'll be just fine. I'm going to double check and make sure the gauge inside the truck shows the same thing. Because sometimes, you know, you might have a good voltage here, but it may not be the same in the truck. So let's go take a look. Let's see what it says when it started. I'm not going to let it run too long because, you know, obviously there's no coolant in it. But this is interesting. So we're basically, it's 12, 12.5, 13, almost 13.5. That's where I like to be, 13.6. So that's just fine. Alright, so now we just got to flush out this coolant. Finish flushing this out. Now I'm going to close the drain on the bottom. And I'll fill her up with water. And then we'll drain it again. It lost a good bit of coolant, as you can imagine. 12.9. So topping off the battery pretty good. This was 100 and what did I say? I saw this was 135 amps. Yeah, 135 amps I think. Delco Remy. So, anyways, that's pretty good. I'll take that. Alright, let me get this thing filled up with water, get it flushed out, and start putting the red stuff in. I don't know if you can tell in there, but it's still blue. So, we're going to have to do it again. Finally, it's all clear water. Just water. Okay, I'm going to drain it out. We'll start refilling it with the good red stuff. I should have looked at the antifreeze that I got. This is the pink stuff. It meets the requirements for Cummins, but that's not what I want because I run a lot of trucks with the red. So I want to stick with the red. That's why I didn't leave the blue in there, because when I need to add to it, I keep red. I keep red, green, and for the GM, the Death Cool, I keep that crap around too, just for topping off. Alright, I've run my coolant in, and the thermostat opened. It sucked in a bunch more coolant, got it, bled all the air out of it, and with pressure on it, we have no leaks. So all is good. I'm going to put the air intake back on this thing, and that should be it. Then we can put it to work. It's got a bunch of stuff it's got to do, a bunch of trailers to move. So we're going to call it quits on this one. This is the end of this video. I know it was really long, guys, but you know, it is what it is. So we'll move on to the next one. I'm not sure what the next truck is going to be. I got a list. So if you like what we're doing, give us that thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave your comments down below, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.